at 6 p.m. Special meeting of the Westfield Redevelopment Commission for Monday, June 2nd, 2025. David, declaration of quorum, please.
Hold on, I'm gonna get there, I'm too far behind. Okay, Joe Blankus,
Here.
John Dart,
Here.
Brian Michael.
Here.
Larry Kemper.
Here.
Brian Pulaski. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you, David. Let's stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I take it we have no changes to the agenda.
No changes.
Okay, nothing, good. We have no old business, so we'll get right into the new business for this evening. First item is a public hearing on the adoption of declaratory resolution for Eastside EDA and Grand Millennium Center allocation areas. Janelle, would you like to make any comments here before we get started with that?
Just bring up the map here. So this is one parcel that is part of the Grand Junction EDA. This is part of, allocation area. Do we have an overall map? There we go.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have 3 separate areas within this EDA that will all be associated with the Grand Millennium Center project being developed by CRG. And it will be set up so that they can issue multiple bonds without triggering the allocation area start until they are ready to issue bonds on the second phase of the project. This was previously introduced as a declaratory resolution and has been to Plan Commission and City Council and is now coming back here for a confirmatory resolution. And Dustin Meeks is here to answer any questions you guys might have from a legal standpoint.
Sorry, Keystone Avenue was so traffic.
You're right on time.
You're right on time.
Yeah.
No problem. Any comments you wanna make?
No, that covered it all.
That covered it.
Okay.
Okay, very good. We'll open up the public hearing at 6:02. David, do we have any emails, comments from the public?
Not at this time.
And I see no members of the public here that wanna make any comments. So we will close it again at 6:02. Okay, next item is the resolution 24-2025, confirmatory resolution for the Eastside EDA and Grand Millennium Center allocation areas.
Yep, so this is just us requesting your approval of the confirmatory resolution that we just had the public hearing for.
Okay. Alright, I had no questions on it. Do we have any questions from commission members in regards to this resolution? Okay, if not, I'm open for a motion for approval.
Motion approved.
Okay, Brian Pulowski, motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Brian Michael. I got it straight, guys. All in favor,
early.
please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Blankus,
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is resolution 25-2025 regarding the TIF pledge for the Grand Millennium Center. Janelle?
Yes, same project. This is part of the Grand Millennium Center being developed by CRG. And this is an agreement that the Redevelopment Commission would pledge 100% of the TIF from this allocation area to repay the debt for the economic development bonds that would be issued. These would be developer-backed bonds. So the city's credit would not be used for issuing these bonds. They would be guaranteed by the developer. And there will be a taxpayer agreement with their lender that would guarantee that all of the payments come out of the allocation area first, and then with their taxpayer or with their guarantee backing it up. And I think that covers it. They'll have one or more bonds issued specific to this allocation area. Dustin, if there's anything you wanna add?
I was just gonna say that this resolution is sort of the blocking and tackling resolution, and now that the allocation areas are created, they'll have allocation funds, and this body has to pledge those funds to the payment of the bond. So it's kind of the city's gonna issue the bonds and you guys have the money, and this is the resolution that links those two things together. And so what it provides is that those revenues are pledged and that those revenues will be dispersed in accordance with trust indentures, which will govern the 3 series of bonds to be issued in alignment with the 3 allocation areas.
Okay, but they are developer bonds, so the developer is on the hook for the bonds, not the city.
Correct, yeah, it's just that the TIF revenues go in
Right.
before the
Sure.
developers guarantee would come in.
Right.
So we gotta make sure that the TIF revenues are.
Just wanted to clarify that for the record.
But the TIF revenue is separated by each of those 3 areas within the
Yes.
Grand Millennium?
Yeah, it'll actually be captured, each allocation area will capture the revenues in a separate fund. And then those funds will be used to repay the debt on the bond.
And what's the time period
It will be 25 years from the issuance of debt.
for each of those areas?
Yeah, that's standard for all commercial TIF areas, exist for 25 years after the issuance of the debt. Residential would be 20.
So assuming that the developer is going to time phase it, so to speak, then each of those allocation areas will then be used, the TIF funds will be used to repay the bonds for that area.
Correct.
And if it's short, if the increment won't pay, then the developer's
Developer
guarantee
is responsible.
Correct.
I mean, I did have one question about this, the CRG title yet, is the closing upcoming, is this the property where there were some issues?
You guys, go ahead and answer that. I assume it's simultaneous closing unless you're.
Yeah, it's just one of the steps, so once this is done, then we're working to get the closing done on the property.
For the construction loan also, that'll be at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're about halfway through design, should have plans by the end of the month, and our goal is to work through different steps of the city for permitting and get started in October.
Okay, so that would be the first part of the project would be started in October.
So
Okay, very good. Okay, I'm open for motion for approval if there's no other discussion.
Motion to approve. Go ahead.
Brian Polowski. And do I have a second?
Second.
John Dart, okay, thank you. Voices are bouncing all over. David, please take the roll.
Joe Plankis,
Yes.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Talamichael. Aye. Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulaski.
Okay, motion passes 5-0, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is resolution 26-2025 regarding the Grand Millennium Center project agreement. Janelle?
Yes, Mr. President, this is a resolution authorizing us to enter into a final development agreement with CRG for the Grand Millennium Project. This would reiterate some of the terms we've already talked about, including the 100% TIF pledge. It goes over the details of the project, including all of the obligations that they have on the developer side to issue or to build the luxury apartments. They have the parking garage, retail space. They also have a podium area of parking underneath one of the multifamily buildings. And then there's an MOB with surface parking. So it goes through all the details of what they're delivering, all the requirements associated with that. And then of course, as I mentioned, our TIF pledge. We are also working with the Parks Department and the Board of Public Works on road impact fee and park impact fees for some of the work that they're doing on their project. So all that will be memorialized in the project agreement. We're in an almost final form of that with CRG, just a couple of details to work through.
Okay, and as I read through the documentation, there's 340 apartments and 670 spaces. Are they all parking garage spaces?
No, there's a combination of surface and structured parking within the development.
Okay.
And I don't remember
who's-
exactly what the split is between the two.
Okay, who will then be responsible for handling those spaces, you know, based on some of the things we've done with the other parking
Yeah,
garages?
the parking garages and all the surface parking is all owned by the developer. And they will be responsible for owning it, managing it, repairing it, everything.
Okay, is there any public parking in that space?
Yeah, they will have at least 3 hours of free public parking, and they will not be allowed to reserve any more than 30% of the parking spaces for.
So 70% is open.
70% is open.
Okay. That was one of the things that wasn't really specified in in the documentation that I
Oh.
looked at, so.
Yeah, it will be 70% open to the public.
Okay, other questions from commission members on this resolution? If not, I'm open for a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Brian Talamichael, motion to approve, second.
Second.
John Dart, thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Brian?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Talamichael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Do we have any other business to conduct, you know?
Only a thank you to all of you for coming here for an extra meeting.
Appreciate that.
I don't like doing special meetings unless they're necessary. Unfortunately, we had an issue with public notice that just had not been published for the public hearing for today. It's the reason that we had this delayed. And at the request of the developer, we held this meeting today rather than waiting until later in the month. So again, I thank all of you for giving up your Monday
We
night.
appreciate the transparency too, for the explanation. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. And we wanna make sure that he gets his butt in gear and gets moving on this because it's pretty exciting stuff. We've been waiting for a long time for this one.
We've been designing at risk for a little bit, so we're, I mean that in a good way,
Yeah.
we're about halfway
Yeah.
through design and landscape, civil engineering, all the architecture, so, but thank you to everybody here. I know Janelle, we first met, I think, December of '23 before you
Yeah.
even taken your role,
Yes,
to go through and it kind of worked through the process, and obviously the council. We met, Councilor Dart and the rest, they're very open to meet, so we appreciate, everything and ready to get going too.
we're looking forward to it.
Please keep Janelle informed. She does a great job on presentation, so I'm sure she'll keep us up to date as your project goes along. Appreciate that. Okay, if there is nothing else, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, fellas, for coming in.
Don't run away, I need your signature still.
Yep, we're waiting here. We're not moving, David. All of us were waiting.
I saw you go for it.
All of us were waiting.
I was gonna ask if the mail had the overnight.
Oh, yeah.
It's on my list, so I'll check that box.
Yeah, thanks for sending
I
that.
can tell Brad.